Well, good afternoon. I will be going over a couple of interview practice questions that I have for an upcoming interview as a data analyst here. And I just wanted to quickly go over a couple of questions that I've been asked. The first one is, what does CRISP DM methodology for data mining entail? What does a data analyst do in each step? CRISP DM, it stands for Cross-Industry Standard Process for Data Mining. And it's a structured, thorough, validated approach to data mining. There's actually 6 different steps, of which I want to go over really quickly what they all mean. First one is business understanding, which essentially is just understanding the business goals and its priorities, understanding the why for why they need you as a data analyst. Knowing this will help you to foresee what type of models you're going to need and whatnot. Second one is data understanding. Essentially, that involves data quality, catching the errors, missing values, as well as any inconsistencies. And then you have descriptive analysis of statistics, which include finding the mean, include finding the mode, all these different medians which can help you to understand your data and stay away from data bias. The next step is called data preparation. This is where you do all your data cleaning, and you find your derivatives, or you derive your extra columns that you're going to need in order to meet the requirements set by the business. Next one, we have a modeling, and this is where you get to choose an algorithm that is eventually going to help you develop a prototype. If the prototype is validated, you can make it into a model, which is going to help you understand how your data flows, and you'll be able to present it as well. The fifth step is evaluation. This is where you get to assess whether the model meets the business requirements, make extra kinks or changes in your step to make sure they fit. And last but not least is deployment. And this is where you release your presentation, and then but you got to make sure that you continue to monitor the progress and document any data that you have. The next question is, explain what needs to be done before you can forecast time series. In other words, what does time series analyst involve? So it is important to understand the pattern type your data has before you decide what type of forecast model you're going to choose. What do I mean with this? Different data, when you put it into a graph, has different types of patterns. One of them is stationary or stationarity, which means that the mean and the variance stay the same, consistent over time. Another type of pattern is called autocorrelation. And this one is really a repeating systematic pattern that exists within this time. It's not a trend, it's more of a repeating pattern that exists. Seasonality is the third type of pattern, and this refers to when you have a periodic intervals of things that happen. So it's a lot like autocorrelation, but they happen in every so season or every so time period. The next question we have is, discuss the main principles of data ethics, as well as what companies or organizations could do to uphold these principles. Data ethics is very, very important. There's 4 different steps to it that really help you to understand your data and really help you to make sure that you're following protocol in every area of conducting analysis. The first one is called privacy. It's essentially making sure that an organization complies with the data privacy laws, as well as they also get permission from the individuals to make sure that they can collect and share private information. The next one is called transparency, and this one is how they handle the data. An organization has to be clean in how they handle everything to make sure that the people involved are okay with it. The next one is accountability. And this part really of data ethics is whenever the organization does not follow protocol, the organization is aware that there will be consequences and accountability for not following those. So company has to know exactly what they're expected to do. And equality. There can't be any type of sexism, racism. There has to be a level of equality for every person that the data is collected from. So there can't be any biases in that way. The next question is, imagine you're an analyst at a financial services company and you have some concern about bias in the way a predictive model was measured. How would you raise your concerns with your manager? Make some suggestions for how to avoid measuring bias in the future. Data bias is very, very easy to prey into, but there is, in measuring bias, there's a specific, a very good go-to practices to make sure that you don't fall for those in measuring biases. One of the first ones that I would include is designing and communicating, making sure that you know the procedures for how you perform this data collection. Next one is really to make sure that you ensure that there's multiple measuring devices. It's not just one, but there's multiple. The next one is to make sure that all the people involved, they're actually well equipped and they actually have had adequate level of experience and training. And last but not least is to make sure that you continually review and update your data. So you got to make sure that it's not just a one-time check, it's consistent review as more data comes in. The next question is, explain the difference between regression and classification models in predictive analysis. When would you use one of these models over the other? So biased presentation of data is oh, I apologize. Regression models, it's really whenever there is a relationship between quantitative data. So there's numbers, there's numerical data that you can find a commonality between. Versus classification is more of talking about categorical data. So if you have something that is colors, shapes, maybe something that you feel more inclined to is more of perceptions of some things, that's more into a classification model, versus a regression model falls more into a numerical analysis. If you can perform statistics on it, if you can find derivatives from it, then you would use the regression model. So it really comes down to what type of data it is. If it's numerical, or if it's a more classification type of data that you have.